Today I'm going to be showing you step by step how I color grade my football footage in Premiere Pro. Let's get to it. So for this video specifically, I'm going to be doing a nighttime game because a lot of high school football happens at night. But on Saturday, I'm filming a daytime game, so next week I can do a daytime color grade as well. So right here, this is our shot that we have. I shoot on a Sony FX3, so all my footage is shot in S-Log. So the first step that I do is, you can see it's kind of washed out, it's gray. So I come over here to basic correction, I go to input LUT, and I'm gonna find my conversion LUT right here. So this is my conversion LUT that transfers this over to Rec 709 and kind of brings in those original colors that the camera would have. So now from here, I just have creative freedom to do whatever I want. This is pretty much the first step you guys are gonna start on unless you also shoot in S-Log 3 or in some sort of S-Log footage or C-Log for Canon. But you'll always want to bring in that conversion LUT if that's something that you need to do. So from here, one thing that I like to do is I like to up my contrast just a little bit, because you can see when it's lower, it still looks a little washed out on the field here and in kind of the shadows. So you want to up that contrast a little bit just to bring more detail into there. With this shot, since he's wearing a white jersey, it's already a little bright. So I'm honestly going to bring my highlights down just a tad bit and drop these shadows a little bit. So then we get our blacks really black in there and the jersey looks more natural compared to being washed out. So this right here is our color correction. So that is just correcting the little mishaps in the colors, and then we get into the actual grade when we get into this part right here. So my next step is I come in here to the curves. I love to play with the curves. These are great for touching up your colors. You get a lot of good detail added in. The first step that I like to do is I like to make the field very green. So you can see it's kind of washed with this field. It's a little more washed in my shots for some reason. I can't get as much green out of it, but I'll go to hue versus hue. I'll click the little eyedropper and I'll select the green on the field. And then you can see that gives me these three dots and I can adjust it. So if I pull it down, it makes it look unnatural. It's got like blues and purples in it, but if I pull it up, it's got pinks and reds in it. So you kind of want to find that middle ground to where it's gonna throw a little more green into there. So you can see when I pull it down, it makes that field look a little more green. Those darks are dark and those lights are light. So let's see the difference here. So you can look, it looks a little more washed out. The grass looks a little more dead without it, but with it on, it kind of adds some more green into there. And it adds a bit of like a creative look in my opinion. So my next step is the skin tone. So you can see right here, he looks a little like orange, like his skin tone kind of matches the number on the jersey right here. So that's where we go to hue versus saturation. We want to click that eyedropper and select a bright part of the skin. So you can see it brings up our three dots here. If I pull it down, it makes him look gray. He looks ill if you pull it all the way down. Then if we go all the way up, he looks like an Oompa Loompa, so it makes him look orange. But you want to find that happy medium where you kind of pull it down just a little bit, so then that skin looks a little more natural compared to the bright orange washout. So let's see it before and after. Here's with it and there's without it. So you can see it's not much of a difference, but it's just enough to make that skin tone look a little more natural. All right, so that was our hue versus saturation drop and our hue versus hue drop. So out of the little droppers here, those are the only two that I mess with in all honesty. And then I do the rest of my touch-ups in these curves right here. So I always like to start with the whites. You want to make three dots at each intersection. This middle one you can pull down and make it look terrible, or pull up and make it look terrible. But for this, I want to add a little more shadow in there, so I'm going to pull that down a little bit. And this one is going to bring out some highlights a little bit, so I'm going to pull that up just a tad. And then on our bottom one here, you can see it kind of adds that darkness to the shadows. This is messing with our shadows here, so I'm gonna pull that down just a little bit to add some more darkness back there. So here's the difference with the white touched up and without. You can see it really just sharpens those shadows, makes those hues and that contrast a lot stronger. So from there, I just kind of touch up the red, the green, and the blue with whatever the shot's kind of looking like. So in all honesty, it could use a little bit of warmth here. So we're gonna pull these reds up some. And you can see what it changes back there. So when I pull this down, it makes that background more green. When I pull it up, it makes it more red. So I'm gonna leave it down just a little bit so you can see a difference here with just those two sliders. You can see it's pulling out a lot more color in the field as well, and on the jersey color. So then we'll come over here to the greens. I honestly don't play with greens too much. I'll bring it up just a little bit to add a little more color to the field, but I'm not gonna do too much to that. And then finally, we end off on the blues. So I can bring up the blues a little bit if I wanna make it cool. I can pull it down if I wanna add some greens. And in all honesty, it's already a pretty cold shot. So I'm gonna pull this down just a little bit to keep some of that green and that red in this shot here. So now after all of that, you can see all the colors that have been brought in. We can go in here, we can turn off basic correction, see what it looks like without that conversion LUT and the touch-ups. And then we can turn off curves and see what it looks like without those curves and those droppers. You can see a huge difference. So this shot right here is just with the color correction. That's just touching up the shadows, the hues, the contrast. But then this shot right here is with the actual color grade. So you can see it brings in a lot more saturation. It makes it look a lot more nicer, more creative and things like that. So here's our final shot. Here's what it's looking like. I honestly like it a lot. I honestly try and keep a lot of those greens in my shots. I like the greens. I like the warmth kind of when it comes to football because it's already a cold game. So if you make it blue, it makes everybody remember the fact that that game was really cold. So there's a little bit of that coldness down here in the field, but you can see on him, you got the reds. The white looks very white, which I like a lot. And so this grade, in my opinion, looks very good for what I was trying to achieve for this game specifically. If you have any questions about color grading and color correction in Premiere Pro when it comes to sports footage, please let me know in the comments below. I'm gonna keep dropping a video every single week. I'm gonna keep releasing tutorials to help you guys become better videographers and better editors. If there's anything you want to learn or anything you want to know, let me know in the comments below or DM me on Instagram.